Tent for you. Here we go. Let's start. Hello and welcome to the Melissa Diaz Report. My name is Melissa Diaz, coming to you live from Austin, Texas, the city of of a city of blue and a sea of red. Just sitting here, but everyone across the state, including this city, we all eat the same barbecue at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, what's going on? What's going on with you? I hope you've been having a good week so far. I've been having an okay week. I've been doing baby sleep training, which all it translates to whenever a parent tells you that they're doing anything with a baby is they are not sleeping. So that's basically what's going on. I'm trying to make it so that she doesn't eat in her sleep. And you would think that a human being would just naturally be born with the gift of not needing to eat while they sleep. But apparently not. Apparently, you do need to train a person as a baby to not need to basically sleep eat, like sleepwalking. I wonder if that's where sleepwalking even comes from. It's like some glitch in that part of your brain where you dream eat. That's what they call it, dream eating, dream feeding. That's what they call it for babies. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's some glitch. It never turns off. It just stays on because something happened. You messed them up. That's at some critical point when they were still dream feeding, and then it just stays. I don't know. The more I look at this baby, the more I realize that pretty much every mental issue that people suffer from is just some version of their baby selves that never developed. Like some portion of their baby selves is in some state of arrested development. And I don't know that you could even fix it. I think it's just kind of a permanent quirk, and that's it. And as an adult, like as a not baby person, I gotta say, the older you get, the more you realize that nobody's coming to save you. There's nothing to read that'll help you. There's nothing that to fix you. Nothing will fix you. Look in the mirror. Take a good look whenever you get a chance and realize this is it. That's it. Nothing else will change. That's who you are. Embrace it. Don't try to hug the mirror. I'm just saying emotionally, that broken person in there is it. It will be it until death. That's it. Till death do you part from yourself. Because who are you married to more intimately than with yourself? All of those things that you go to therapy to talk through, have fun. But you're just talking. It's not going to change anything. If it does change anything, it probably wasn't really the core issue to begin with. That's it. That's all I gotta say. Okay, to you younger generations, embarking on your therapy narrative journey, have fun paying for a friend to talk to, because that's what a therapist is. It's a pay a friend. A therapist is you're paying for the friend that you want in your life because you don't have that friend in your actual life because maybe that kind of person doesn't want to hang out with you, so you have to pay them. Or maybe therapists are actually really socially, they function as high value friends, and now they can charge you for it. And so there's this whole smoke and mirrors about how it's for your own good, and you want to believe it, but really you're picking them based on who you think is cool. And it's good for fair. It gets That's fair because you get close to people that you admire or have qualities you think are that you lack, and you're like, oh, this is cool, and you hang out around them, and maybe you kind of pick up a couple of tricks or two. Cool, but they're not gonna fix you. No one can fix you because really, you're not broken. You're not broken. Okay, that's my therapy for you. You're not broken. Brought to you by the Melissa Diaz Report. The Melissa Diaz Report. Now for an ad read. Just kidding. I don't have ads. I'm not sponsored by anybody. That's why I'm probably telling you that you don't need to pay for help. I don't know. Think about it. All right, what are we covering today? All right, we got a update on the gunman who allegedly opened fire at the home of podcaster Tim Pool, followed by an update on the U.S. seized oil tanker off of Venezuela that was bound for Cuba earlier this week. And then we're going to cover a recent data aggregation study, which shows that worldwide conflicts have driven a surge in global military spending. And then we're going to end with the $12 billion bailout breakdown on Tangle, an editorial that I found extremely good and informative and worth your time. Then we're going to end completely with a little segment that I like to call Meanwhile in Afghanistan. And that's it. That's the show. I broke it down just like John Milton in Paradise Lost, and you just everything is there, including the spoilers. And do you want to listen to this shit? Good. If not, those are your updates. Anyway, moving on. Let's start with the first story. So, podcaster Tim Pool posted a tweet or X. He posted an X. What the fuck do you even call them? He posted an X to X. It's like X. What is X? And it was like Malcolm X. Is that what it is? Is it like the Nation of Islam, where they took away Twitter, the name Twitter, because we don't want the slave name anymore? Is Twitter a slave name? In a sense, I guess, in terms of how social media is enslaving the masses. Am I right? Yes, you're right. Absolutely. But he posted basically saying, Tim Pool, who I was just talking about, posted about how he was targeted, his home was targeted in West Virginia. West Virginia. Obviously, West Virginia, you know, if a if bullets are heard in West Virginia, obviously you would assume that there was a target. West Virginia, you know, the land of moonshine and inbreeding and extreme poverty. The land of people who are so inbred their eyes point in different directions. And yeah, and that's, the eyes point in different directions. To be fair, it's because so they can always keep their eyes on their guns with one eye and their meth with the other. That's West Virginia. But Tim Pool, famously not paranoid, Tim Pool is claiming that he was targeted in a shooting in his home. But let's see an update on that. According to the Daily Beast, Tim Pool's actually refusing to give cops footage of the alleged shooting. So there is that. Also, I think that the police have reported that there was no official report of this incident. So I'm not really sure what's going on there. Let's share screen real quick. Now, so Magastar, I don't know why they're calling him a Magastar. I don't know if he is a Magastar. I think that's kind of in that weird space where you're whatever the thing is that people who are afraid of something gaining more media space thinks that you are uh platforming or whatever you talk about, you're platforming. Whatever you platform, you are. I guess it's kind of like a you are what you eat kind of thing. I don't know. Anyway, Magastar refuses to give cops footage of alleged shooting, according to the Daily Beast. The tweet is essentially this one right here, where Tim Pool says, "Last night, a vehicle approached our property and opened fire. No one was hurt. Our security team is reviewing the incident and will be relaying the report to appropriate law enforcement. This is the price we pay for speaking out against evil." Ah, evil, 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 evil. Lately a lot of people think evil is is evil. A lot of people think evil is bad. Go with me on this. A lot of people think evil is bad, and that badness is not good, because not goodness is not preferred, because it's not preferred because it does not make you feel safe. It does make you feel good. Not goodness slash not preferredness slash evil feels good to do, but hence the temptation to do it all the time. But it makes people feel bad at the end of the day. The end of the day, my favorite phrase. At the end of the day, police in West Virginia say they cannot corroborate MAGA podcaster Tim Pool's claim that he was targeted in a shooting at his home, according to a new report. Poole, a prominent pro Donald Trump commentator, okay, sure, posted on X on December 6th that a vehicle approached his home and opened fire, though no one was hurt. He said he had contacted authorities about the alleged incident, adding, "This is the price we pay, blah, 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 blah." Yes. So they, yeah. However, a spokesperson for the Berkeley County Sheriff's Office told TMZ that reports of shots fired at this residence cannot be substantiated at this time, adding that Poole has refused to release security footage recorded the night of the alleged shooting. Okay, I'm going to be fair and say that perhaps the reason why he doesn't want to share the security footage is for a very valid reason. Perhaps, I don't know. Maybe the security footage has his address on it. You don't want to get doxxed. He famously is always trying to act like he's in hiding somewhere in some undisclosed location that's surrounded by chickens and stuff. But, he can't divulge the information because people are after him. I don't know if this is true or not. I mean, yeah, we did have a turbulent last decade, and people have been doxxed and swatted and targeted, and people have shown up at other people's houses. Um, Luigi Mangione, hello. This is happening. However, some people are saying this could be a juicy Smollett, juicy Smollett, and that it isn't real. I don't. I actually. I will also be fair and say that because of the current climate, and I'm not talking about climate change. In fact, nobody is, because data centers are very, very potentially very profitable. So there is no more climate change. But the political climate, on the other hand, is good because it's the best it's ever been. It's the most fun it's ever been. And because of it, it's almost too much fun. It's painfully fun. It's almost lethally fun. And so people, there's been multiple attempts on Trump's life, and things have been happening across the country. People have been trying to target grids in various states, and a lot of shit is happening. So I guess, sure, maybe there are people that want to target media figures more, but I don't know that Tim Pool would be that one. I don't know. It depends. It depends on the person. Different people think that different things are threats. I think there's a pretty substantial number of people who think that, yeah, I guess that Tim Pool is a threat. I mean, he is someone who was discovered to have been receiving some form of money from Russia in some capacity, but I don't think he was aware of it, or at least he claimed to not be. I believe him. I don't want to disbelieve anybody. I think one of the main things that we do wrong nowadays with media is we keep projecting subtext until you get to the point where you are Tim Pool. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, if you're just looking at the world around you and then adding you're like erasing people's official statements and dialogue, and then you're just writing yours underneath constantly. That's not smart. That is literally just projection, because that's all you have is your creative mind to just project subtext on everything. And the problem with that is you have no basis in reality. You're never anchored. You're always imagining. And so eventually you will get to the point where you are seeing phantoms everywhere, and you become afraid of everything around you and mistrustful and stuff like that. And the next thing you know, you're going to be Tim Pool's neighbor. You're going to move in right next to him. You might not even realize you're doing it. One day you're going to yawn, go out, get the paper, if people still do that, and you're going to look to your right, and there's going to be another guy getting the paper in his boxer shorts, and the boxer shorts are going to have probably Tim Pool's podcast logo all over them, because I'm sure that's what Tim Pool wears. in his house. Um, and you're gonna realize it's Tim Pool. So I don't know. That's what you get for doing that kind of shit. Take what people say at face value, because that's how you begin. And then you follow it up by looking for facts that contradict those statements. And then you can come to somewhat of a closer triangulation of what the fuck is going on. Otherwise, you're just going to move to West Virginia eventually and just start your own meth farm. And who wants that? That's no fun. All right. You don't want to live all paranoid with a bunch of guns growing meth in your backyard or however you make meth. Okay. It's not good. I'm being facetious. I know how you make meth. I mean, I don't really, but I know it's not a plant, is all I'm saying. Anyway, Tim Pool. Tim Pool. He could be not wanting to show the security footage because maybe he was doing something weird in the general area of the incident. And then shots rang and he was doing this weird thing or somebody in his family or so. And so he just doesn't want to share the footage. He could have been doing something weird with those chickens. Something, maybe he was sacrificing to Baphomet. He was doing a goat sacrifice to Baphomet and he was just covered in blood and you know, uh, rubbing it in his testicles and stuff, and that's in the security footage. You can't have a black mass exposed on security footage just to show police proof of some kind of shooting. That's not cool, man. That stuff is meant to be secret. Ask any witch, any warlock on TikTok. Ask them. Even astrologers know. Okay? Not astronomers, because that's actually real. But Tim Pool, let's say, Poole said in a statement to TMZ, Poole said he was advised not to release the footage as it will compromise security, exposing property, personnel, and our security measures. Eh, okay. Like I said, okay, take it at face value. TMZ reports that Poole invited the outlet to his West Virginia home to view the footage in person. So he's inviting people to come see the footage. I don't know. One, we have AI now, so you can't trust anything anymore. Two, yeah, I believe that. I mean, there is, not that I believe it, but I think it's credible to a degree because if you show people security footage and it has, property, personnel, security, it has like basically identifiable landmarks. You can see that from Google Maps or something like that. He doesn't have enough money to just blank himself out. Elon Musk does. He probably shows security footage all fucking day long. He doesn't care. He could just alter everything to make it look like there was never a black mass or a chicken orgy or anything. So, you got to know what economic tier this guy is in. He's not like a multi-billionaire. He's not doing poorly. He's doing well for himself, probably. He has his platform and all that, but not enough money to, I think feel safe enough to just share his property's landmarks, identifiable landmark. I don't know. So this is a thing that will probably, and it's also, yeah, this is a thing that will probably not be resolved. Far-right podcaster Candace Owens, currently engaged in a bitter MAGA feud with Poole, was among those casting doubt on his account, noting that he also claimed his home was shot at in 2022. Again, he could have been correct, but also he's in West Virginia. West Virginia. Take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia. Take me home. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Take me home. I bet the two things you hear in West Virginia are gunshots and this. Just constantly, constantly. And that's not really, oh, and this. Burps, okay? This is kind of, it's like if I were to be in the Bronx, this is exactly like this. If I were to still be living in the Bronx, where I am from, and then I were to every time I hear gunshots outside of my building, I'm like, they're after me. This is what I feel about West Virginia. Okay. So I don't know. This is like if you're in West Virginia and you're like, you know, eh, like Meth. There's meth everywhere, all the time. It's not, you're not the target of a lot of the shit that's going on there. Some of that is just, it's just organized crime, Tim Pool. Some of it is just organized crime. I understand you're afraid, but be brave. Be brave, young man. You'll get through this in West Virginia. You look, you're not dating your sister. You're already leaps and bounds ahead of the rest in that state. You're good. You're good. All right, let's move on. What else is in the news? What's going on? We also have, well, let's stop the share. Stop the bear. Yeah, U.S. seizes oil tanker off Venezuela, um, bound for Cuba. This is an interesting one because this is Mark Halpern actually, I think, was the closest to really calling this out for what it is. This is like the US is just, it's like an act of piracy. This is true, okay? This is so strange because throughout the 20th century, the CIA, the United States government, they were in Latin America. They were in there like swimwear, okay? They were going left and right, basically knocking over do legitimately elected presidents like whack-a-mole, okay, with a mallet. They were just going across the entire southern hemisphere of the Americas and just bopping presidents over the head. That's the CIA's job. I bet the CIA, when they were working in Latin America, I bet that's what they used. They used a whole they put South American map on the wall, and then they just overlaid it with just a whack-a-mole game. And every country was probably a whack-a-mole hole. And it's like whenever a progressive socialist president pops up, you take a mallet and you go wham, and I got him. And I don't know which CIA agent won this game, but somebody did because they did a job. They did quite the number on the Latin American uh, hemisphere, and it was quite a thing to see. I mean, the CIA was legitimately in Latin America, just going left and right, installing puppet regimes, taking out presidents that were problematic. But this was systematic at the time, and it was political policy, and it was executed, I guess, professionally is what I want to say, but professionally in the way that like a hitman is a professional. But now this taking this oil tanker bound for Cuba, it kind of it smacks of a bully, actually. It's more like bullying than piracy, which I guess piracy is a form of bullying. And we don't tolerate bullying in this country. Not culturally, anyway. But yeah, but what are we doing? And is that the Latin American policy? We're just gonna go around down there just kicking sandcastles in people's faces and laughing, ha ha, taking their oil lunch money. Huh? Is that what we're doing? Putting presidents' heads in toilets, giving them a swirly? I don't know. I feel like this is what they're going to do now because admittedly, Trump he's not a practiced statesman. I mean, at this point, he kind of is. That's not fair to say. He's been in the game for a bit. And then he had his whole career before that. But this is like a bully. This felt like very strange. And it's obvious. Come on. You're gonna tell me that Venezuela is your target for narco trafficking? Pete Hegseth, I think it was. No, somebody, maybe Marco Rubio, some statesman visited the Dominican Republic the other day to enter into a deal and some economic deal or whatever the fuck, and they shook hands and everything was hunky dory. I have personally been to the Dominican Republic. I'm half Dominican, and I have literally been to a place that I stayed at with my mom and a guy I was dating at the time for fun, where we ended up embroiled in the middle of like a narco trafficking town where all of this shit was going on. Crack was being, cooked in some place, some like nightclub we went to. It was super shady. I have the story on my TikTok. It was an insane, almost like a National Lampoon style story where we went to this town in the Dominican Republic and made a couple of mistakes and just literally ended up with a drug dealer, drug addict with some in some like crack cooking nightclub and then with some other people, super shady. And eventually, we got out of there, but it wasn't good. And the story's on my TikTok. Like I said, it's a pretty good story. But yeah, um, no, but they didn't do anything with the Dominican Republic. They're not bombing the Dominican Republic. I don't see any missiles going over there. Venezuela. I'll tell you, you know what I'll tell you something. Venezuela happens to be, I think, one of the only, if not the only country in Latin America that has oil, a lot of it. And the US has always been trying to get in there and either destabilize it or control it, one or the other. Because if you destabilize it, you're also controlling it. So the Latin America has not been the focus of any administration recently. They've been focused on the Middle East and Asia, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which fell apart. But Latin America, I guess, I don't know, what are we getting uppity? Well, I don't know about we, I'm from the Bronx, but what are they getting uppity? Huh? Getting too uppity for the US? They want to go down there and stuff some people into some lockers and just remind everybody down there who's boss? What's going on? Also, it's interesting that now that the US needs all of this energy for data storage, with AI and all this stuff, now Venezuela, this oil producing country, is again in the news. And not only that, but the New York Times has an editorial where they're arguing in favor of replacing the current leader of Venezuela. This is interesting. And so, yeah, let's get into the details a little bit before we dive into that article. But yeah, um, the U.S. forces seized a very large oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela, a major move against the South American country. As you probably know, we have just seized a tanker on the coast of Venezuela, a large tanker, very large, the largest one ever seized, actually. Do I need to tell you who that quote is from? Probably not, but I will anyway. It's Trump. He said at an event at the White House. The White House does not provide additional details about the vessel. A person familiar with the matter, granted anonymity to discuss the sensitive seizure, said the ship was en route to Cuba. Yeah, and with the Cuba at this point is really just minding its own business and just trying to shuffle along and maintain some level of dignity in their fucking shitty sovereignty that they have to deal with because of sanctions. But anyway, um, yeah, the oil, the person said, would be sold by state firm Cuba Metales to Asian energy brokers. Oh, it's like you may think that those are our enemies, but if you really think about it, it seems like everybody's our enemy right now. So I don't know what the fuck's going on. Plus, according to AP News, the U.S. military flew a pair of fighter jets over the Gulf of Venezuela on Tuesday in what appears to be the closest American warplanes have come to the South American country's airspace since the start of the Trump administration's pressure campaign. The move sent oil prices higher and sharply escalated tensions between Washington and Caracas. Caracas. I like the way Venezuelans talk. Their accent, even when they speak English, it sounds really cool. It's like a flower. It kind of sounds like a flower blossoming when they talk. I can't do it or imitate it. According to the New York Times, the tanker seized by the U.S. was carrying Venezuelan oil. A judge recently issued a warrant for the operation because of the ship's history of smuggling oil for Iran. So now Iran is also involved. Okay. That ship's history of smuggling oil for Iran, however, I don't know about that. And I don't know if that history goes back to Hugo Chavez's administration, which we are not currently in right now. And so they're just using that as some kind of, as a way to not really tell the truth while also telling the truth. You know what I mean? Like if the ship's history is transporting oil to Iran, who gives a shit? Because I don't think they're doing that with Iran currently. That was happening under Chavez. I don't know that that's happening under this current administration. I don't know that much of anything can happen because they're a mess right now. Venezuela is leaking Venezuelans like the way an oil tanker would leak like a British petroleum oil tanker leaking off the Gulf of Mexico. Oh, sorry, the Gulf of America, which is still, by the way, the Gulf of Mexico, depending on your IP address. So they didn't change anything. They're just psyoping Americans into, I don't know, feeling patriotic or some shit. So the Associated Press, according to them, yeah, they flew those fighter jets. The ship may have been trying to conceal its whereabouts by broadcasting falsified location data. Well, okay, but it is Venezuela. So then at the same time, it could just be that Venezuela's location data sucks because a lot of shit in Venezuela sucks right now, and it has for a long time. So that's another thing that you see what I'm saying? This is what I say where you don't add subtext. Don't assume people are lying. Know facts and then compare them and base your skepticism on that at the very least. Then you don't jump to conclusions, but you have questions, right? And then you know what to ask. Trump picked this fight with Maduro. He can't back down. Okay? That's the New York Times. So now not only are we in a war, a narco trafficking war all of a sudden, and like Venezuela, the one of the largest oil producers in that area, is the target, right when we need a lot of energy and all we have are fossil fuels for data, big data. Um, yeah, this is all happening. Isn't that interesting? Hmm. And now we have this editorial that's saying that we should basically get in there and oust the president and put in their chosen president, which is this other chick, Maria Machado, or whatever the fuck her name is. Okay? So let's look at that real quick. That's because that is something. It really is. I mean, ain't that some shit? Ain't that some shit? Let's see. Where's this? Ah, yeah. Check it out. Look, Trump picked this fight with Maduro. He can't back down. This is a guest essay in the opinion section of the New York Times, written by Ricardo Hausman and Jose Morales Arrilla. Dr. Hausman is a former Venezuelan minister of planning. Okay. He's a professor at Harvard's Kennedy School. Dr. Morales Arrilla is a professor at the Tecnológico de Monterrey in Mexico. Both are from Caracas, Venezuela. Okay. Sorry. I'm just jealous. I don't have a good Spanish accent. My accent is just like the same accent I had in the Dominican Republic when I was 16. So I want you to think back from when you were 16 and what you sounded like versus what you sound as an adult, just so you know what I'm saying, that I sounded like an idiot. I sound like a dumbass in Spanish. I mean, I'm getting better, but it's not easy. It's not easy. Right? This is this is not good because the one thing that they do, what the one thing they say here, which is their linchpin on like why we should go in, doesn't really it doesn't really hold up because they're saying that the presidency isn't legitimate, right? The disputed 2024 election results. Um, um, um. Let's see. Yeah, the opposition candidate, Edmundo Gonzalez, is widely believed to have won the country's 2024 presidential election. Tally sheets gathered and preserved by tens of thousands of volunteers across the country showed Mr. Gonzalez leading by almost 40 points, winning in every state and about 90% of Venezuela's 335 municipalities. Um, Assuming these figures are accurate, this was not a marginal contested outcome. It was a societal landslide achieved despite regime repression, persecution, and the disenfranchisement of up to 3 million eligible voters in the country, as well as most of the 8 million or so Venezuelans living abroad. Now, here's the thing. This kind of shit is happening around the world. I mean, the Organization of African States today said that there's a big issue with basically rebel forces trying to move up on these governments in that continent, in the sub-Saharan regions, and oust lots of governments. And nobody seems to give a shit from this country They care about Venezuela now, though, for some reason. Oil, oil, the opposition, blah, blah, blah. Hmm. So, 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 so. So they're saying, um, okay, the Maduro regime has helped turn Venezuela into a safe haven for US rivals. Okay, sure. But a lot of places have become a safe haven for US rival. Again, Africa, the part of Africa has become a haven for China in many ways, and we don't seem to give a shit as much as we care about Venezuela right now. Hub for drug trafficking and a home to Colombian guerrillas. That's exactly what's happening in sub-Saharan. Go help those people. They're actually asking for help. They're actually putting together conferences and meetings and trying to actually solve that problem. But you want to go to Venezuela? Well, I guess because Venezuela's it's closer to here than any country in Africa. But okay, I'll give them that. But a transition, I mean, come on. Afghanistan? Anybody? How can you believe that that's a good idea? I don't know. I don't know what's going on with this stupid world. But yeah, they're basically saying that the reason why they need to go in there is because um, the polls showed that the opposition candidate was more popular. But the thing is I don't know. We also had a situation here where polls showed that people preferred the opposition candidate to Trump, and then Trump got elected, I think in 2016. Did that happen, or was it with Kamala? I'm not sure. But yeah, I don't know. Something seems a little suspect about that whole thing. But let's see what happens. But overall, my main impression is that it's weird that the US is just seizing oil tankers like that. And also, I think when Trump was asked about it by a journalist, he basically said, yeah, I don't know what we're going to do with that oil. Probably keep it. That's what he said. So that's just, you're just being a pirate. Like, that's just piracy. That's crazy. I mean, look, I understand that this country has just devolved into just a bunch of grifts and snake oil salesmen across the fucking landscape as far as the eye can see. But this is taking it to a new level. I mean, once he does that, the gloves are off. I mean, people are going to just take that example and just run with it and just become aggressively fraudulent, which is already kind of happening. But yeah, I don't know. Good luck kicking down those sandcastles in South America. All right, let's move on. This is tangentially related. According to data from the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, worldwide conflicts have driven a surge in global military spending. It increased by 9% to a record 2.7 trillion in 2024, the steepest annual rise since at least 1992. This global spending spree has meant record revenues for the defense industry. The world's top 100 defense companies earned a record $679 billion in 2024, the highest level ever recorded since SIPRI began tracking in 2022. That is according to a special Reuters report, which I recommend you go read. And do I even have to say it? How involved the United States is with the defense industry? I mean, we're the leader probably in the defense industry. It's the reason why we produce so much weaponry, so much. The reason why we have the military industrial complex that we do at the level we do, it's not because we're just going around stockpiling this shit everywhere in some bunker under the Pentagon. We're selling it. We're manufacturers, we're salesmen. That's why Trump looks like a salesman. Because and Biden was doing the same thing, just knocking on Saudi Arabia's door. Like, hey, I'll trade you some oil for some fucking lasers. Lasers? What do you think? So there we go. I just wanted to throw that in there just so you can have some perspective. All right, I wanted to cover these $12 billion bailout breakdown on Tangle, but I'll make a special recording on that this weekend. So in the meantime, I want to end with a segment that I just started today that I just made up that's called Meanwhile in Afghanistan. And it's a segment whereby, after I talk about all of the things that people get deranged by in this country, we go check in on Afghanistan, which is valid because Afghanistan has been directly influenced by the United States multiple times over the last, I don't know, fucking 50 to 100 years, right through the Cold War and before that, probably too. So let's see what's going on. Let's see where all our taxpayer money has gone and what it has led to. We got an article here that I just want to end on. It's called, it's entitled 13-Year-Old Executes Man Who Killed His Family in Taliban-Ruled Afghanistan. 80,000 people watch live. And that's what's going on in Afghanistan. It was a chilling video that you could see online of a public execution that has emerged on social media that reports say is from eastern Afghanistan's coast. I don't know how to say that. A man convicted of murdering 13 members of a family, including 9 children, was executed on Tuesday at a stadium in Khost, reported several news outlets, including the Associated Press. The execution, carried out in a stadium witnessed by an estimated 80,000 people, was carried out by a 13-year-old boy whose family was among the victims. And I just want to put this out there just so you see the reason why it's probably good that Australia is banning social media for 16-year-olds, first of all, because the level of incentive to do this, to be adored by 80,000 people while they watch you murder a guy, is it's a temptation that children cannot resist and don't understand why they should. So, but on the flip side, this is how teenagers go viral in Afghanistan. It's the only way. It's like you literally have to corral 100,000 people into a stadium to watch you do some shocking thing. So this is basically us witnessing Stone Age virality, Stone Age social media, everybody. Anyway, this was the Melissa Diaz report. I've been Melissa Diaz. I am out. Thank you. Bye. Bye. Thank you for tuning in. See you later, alligator.